This podcast is proud to be part of the TalkSport Fan Network. TalkSport. Powered by fans.
Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining the To Hull and Back podcast, proudly sponsored by 6 Yards Out and Old Zoological Bar. I'm your host, Nathaniel Whittingham, and tonight we're back with an opposition preview. I haven't done one of these in a while. Unfortunately, we can't see our lovely guest today, Ken, but he joins us from Sky Blue Fans TV. So good evening, Ken. How are you doing?
Yeah, good evening, Nathan. Good evening, all. Yes, fine, thank you.
I'm sure it would be nice to have your video playing, but we had technical difficulties, but we're going to soldier on anyway. So,
yes.
I mean, the usual first question I ask, of course, I speak to fans of all different clubs. So, generally, to be a Coventry City fan, how is it at the moment? Is it a good or a bad thing?
Very good at the moment. Very good. We're sitting in 8th place in the league. We've got 17 clean sheets to our name this season, which is fantastic as a club record. And things are looking good. We've got a favourable run in, having played a lot of the top teams, if you like. I mean, I know this league is very strange where anybody can beat anybody on the day, can't they, as we've seen many a times. But we have played a lot of the top teams twice already. So all the teams, apart from Middlesbrough, the last game of the season, are against teams that are probably below in the league. So, yeah.
Well, that sounds positive then. I think it's very different for Hull fans. We actually have the most difficult run-in of everyone in the league with playing everyone above us, and Coventry are going to be one of those teams. You're eighth in the home table as well, but as you said, defensively, Coventry have been brilliant, jumping way ahead here, but that's why I think it's probably going to be a boring 0-0. Defensively, we've been very good with the third best defence under Rossini, or since we had our new manager. Was it November? And I know Coventry, I think, have won 8 or 9 games at home, and 8 or 7 of those have had clean sheets. So it's probably going to be a low scoring game. But before we get on to how this game's going to go, I asked you before, is Mark Robins the longest serving manager? And usually when we do one of these, there's been maybe 1 or 2 managerial changes in the last year for their club. But Robins has been around for ages. So I assume this season as well, a lot of Coventry fans like him.
Yeah, fantastic. I mean, he's done a fantastic job for us. I mean, he's brought us up from League Two and to League One, and then and where we are now, and he's done it on a budget. Very little money to spend. The owners, obviously, were not very good owners. The previous owners, we've recently been taken over by a new guy called Doug King. Previously with a company called Sisu, who a lot of the fans fell out with, to be fair, and we had a lot of struggles under them, to be honest. So we're into a new era now, and we haven't had money to spend in the transfer market, if you like. So Robins has done it really with free transfers, really, or out of contract players or loans, and he's done a fantastic job with barely no money.
Yeah, I mean, you do spot a few trends when you talk to fans of every club, and there have been a lot of clubs just the last few years that have had managerial changes, and everyone says that the old ownership changes, the previous owners were very bad. So what exactly were the issues, and have they been resolved now?
Well, I think they've been resolved up to a certain extent, yeah. I mean, the issues with the old owners, as you're probably well aware, we were forced to move out the ground because they fell out with the owners of the stadium, who were Wasps at the time, who have now gone bump, basically. We had to go and play at Birmingham City at St Andrews, so we played there. And prior to that, we played at Northampton. So it wasn't good for the fans. We had to travel all over the place. So every game was an away game, if you like, for us. You know what I mean? So it was very, very, uncomfortable for supporters, really, and it wasn't good. and the atmosphere wasn't good. But during all that time, to be honest, Robbins was building a team, and he's got a team together now, and he's got us out of the League Two, got us out of League One. We're now in the Championship, and we're sitting 8th in the table. So a couple of months ago, Doug King took over, new guy. So he bought out the old owners, Sisu, and he's now in charge. So I suppose the jury's still out with him, really, because we still haven't spent any money, really, but because the transfer window that's shut now. But his big challenge will be in the summer to see sort of what sort of money he spends. Yeah. But he has cleared a lot of the debt. So we are debt-free now, if you like, and we're now negotiating a new contract at the ground so we can stay at our home in Coventry for a long period, hopefully.
Yeah, and of course that's very important to do, because I know Coventry have been in and out of the stadium. It's not just that they've been back and that's it. So are you confident that that will be resolved?
Yeah, I'm pretty confident we'll stay there now, because I say the rugby team have gone now. That was the problem. I mean, the rugby team came in. It was a council problem as well, to be honest. The council...
Well, we have the exact same thing.
Yeah, we fell out with the council. The council then invited the rugby team from London, who were Wasps, believe it or not, to come play in Coventry, even though we've got our own rugby team in Coventry. That upset a lot of people, obviously. It didn't go down very well. And as we know, we had problems with the pitch and all sorts, as you do if your rugby players are playing on the pitch as well as football. And it caused just a lot of problems, and we had a bit of a fiasco at the start of the season where we couldn't even start the season at home. We had to play away games because the pitch weren't ready, because they used it for the Commonwealth Games.
Yes, of
course.
The
rugby sixes or whatever, rugby sevens or whatever it was, and they ruined the pitch, and Wasp decided not to tell us about the amount of damage it was, and then when we turned up to sort of training that on it, it just wasn't good enough. It wasn't up to scratch, and the Football League wasn't very happy about it, and it wasn't up to standard. Basically, it was very dangerous. Potholes and everything in it. So they had to get a completely new pitch relayed. So we had to play all our games, the first few games away from home.
Yeah, I mean, I think one of those games might have been the whole match at the start of the season. I remember talking to, I can't remember who it would have been, but someone else from Sky Blue Fans TV about that, and they weren't best pleased.
That's right, yeah.
So, but of course, that meant the start of the season was very difficult. I think you lost most of the first games, and then, of course, probably had a good run of home wins. So just talk us through, how has this season gone so far?
Yeah, I mean, we obviously started away from home, and we were playing away games. Although we were picking a couple of points up here and there, we were sitting bottom of the league. Basically, we were 5 or 6 games behind anybody else, basically. So we were playing catch up, and it's always difficult when you're playing catch up, isn't it? You're just not, and the players obviously upset their rhythm as well, because they weren't ready for playing all these games away from home. But eventually we got back at home, and we had a couple of good runs together. We had a great run, put a great run to get up before we had the World Cup break, believe it or not. We had a great momentum, and then we had a World Cup break, bizarrely, and then we came back and we went on a bit of a bad run, and we didn't really come back up to speed, and we lost a few games after the World Cup run, after the World Cup break, and we're just starting to pick up again now. So it wasn't great. So it come at a bad time, really, that World Cup break for us. We know we had a few injuries, like we've still got a few injuries, but it gave players time, if you like, to come back from injury. But when we did come back, we weren't at it. We're nowhere near the way we were playing, before the World Cup break. So that upset the rhythm a lot. And I think it was the same for a lot of teams, really. That nobody expected it. It's an unusual time for all the clubs, because we very rarely have a break at that time of the year.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, of course, I think the teams or the countries in Europe, Spain, Germany and such, have a winter break, which is just 2 weeks, but it's something similar, whereas in England, it's never really happened before. Although I think a few years ago, they said there was going to be a winter break in England, and then it just means the fixtures are more congested instead, I think. Yeah, it's silly, but maybe there's one last year.
They don't want to get rid of the Christmas fixtures, do they? Because it's always busy, and they make a lot of money over Christmas with TV revenue and things like that, and that's what they don't want to lose.
Yeah, but they never really think about the well-being of the players. They just make them play so many games.
All the
last
fans,
few years
all
has
the
been
fans,
mad.
the fans always last, aren't they?
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. So you said about Coventry having a good run stopped, their momentum stopped with the World Cup. I think for Hull it's probably the other way around. We've had just so many injuries this season. We've got a few more at the moment from the last few weeks. Pretty much, if we had a month on and a month off, we'd love that. We'd have the we'd really need that time to build our players back. I think someone wants to get into my house. I can't really leave and let them in, but I'll keep going. So who are the key players for Coventry? I've got written down at the top 4 rated: Hamer, Sheaf, McFadden, and Victor Gyökeres. Would you agree with that?
Yeah. Sheaf is on the injury list. Unfortunately, we've got Callum O'Hare to start with, who is our main kingpin, if you like. He's out for the season, unfortunately. He got injured on Boxing Day against Sheffield United, and he's out for the season. So we're going to miss him. He creates a lot of chances for us, but we won't see him again this season. Casey Palmer's also one of our new signings at the start of the season. He came from Bristol City. He's out now, injured. Jamie Allen got injured last week as well, so he's out. And Liam Kelly's a long-term injury, and Ben Sheaf's also injured. So they're all midfield players. They are, believe it or not. So they're all injured at the minute. We've got Matty Godden, who's just come back from injury. He plays up front, so he's only just come back. So he'll probably, at a guess, maybe, depending on how Robbins does it, whether he's going to play the one up front. If we're at home, he normally plays 2 up front, to be honest, at home. But depending on the personnel available, if Godden is fit, he may well go for 2 up front. But he's only just come back from injury, so he may not risk that. So it's all down to Robbins, really. So, yeah, we've had a fair share of injuries. We've got a lot of midfielder players out, so that's disrupted us a little bit. And, but it makes that run even more impressive, really, because we're on a great run and we're doing it without some key players.
Yeah, of course you mentioned the run. It's 6 unbeaten, 4 wins out of 6. 4-0 win against Huddersfield, which is stadium's just half an hour walk from me. So the fans didn't look happy because I was around there the other day. Just how did that game go? Were Coventry just way better?
Yeah, I think so. I think Huddersfield looked poor for me. I think they'll probably be. I know Warnock normally comes into clubs and tries to save them, but I think he's got a job on their hands. He's got a job on his hands there, to be honest, because I just don't think they were good enough. They looked very poor, and every time we went forward, we looked like we could score. To be fair, their defending was awful, but and they had a couple of chances in the first half, but as soon as they went like 2-0 down, and a lot of the heads dropped and stuff, so we could have probably had a few more. But yeah, they're very poor, Huddersfield, for me. I expected them, especially in Neil Warnock's side, I expected them to be a bit more
solid.
Yeah, a bit more solid, but I was very surprised.
Yeah, so you mentioned that there's lots of midfield injuries. Was that the case for the Huddersfield game, or can Hull fans be sort of looking forward to the fact maybe Coventry will be a bit depleted?
Well, we are still depleted, and the only one, none of them will be back that I've mentioned. But we got a young lad came in, Howie. He's only a youngster. He's from the academy. He came through and he had a brilliant game. And they just sort of had to. We've got a couple of loan players, Norton Cuffy from Arsenal and Enes Brand from Manchester City. They're both involved now. So, I mean, and they look good. They're only young. They're only young lads, but they look good, great prospects. And I think in a couple of years you'll hear a lot more about them. But they are very naive, if you like. They do give the ball away a little bit, and they're only still learning because they're only youngsters. So they'll be in amongst the team, I should think. But it's going to be very much the same for the team as against Huddersfield, really, because we're going to still be without their main players, and we just hope we're not going to get any more injuries. So we're down sort of bare minimum, really. Especially in midfield.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you've got a few talented young players. I mean, this might be a bit of an insult, but of course, Victor Gyökeres is a fantastic player. Is Coventry a little bit of a one-man team? I mean, was that just unfair? Is he just quite good? But the team help him out.
Yeah, he's been fantastic. I mean, but he has the odd bad game. I mean, up at Preston last week, midweek game against Preston, we drew 0-0. he had a very poor game. He wasn't in the game at all. But yet against Huddersfield, he was unstoppable, sort of thing. So, he's he is a good player to us, and when he's not playing, put it that way, we miss him. So he's very important to us. And but no, we're certainly not a one-man team. I mean, the defence are very solid. We've got McFadden, we've got the lad from Burnley on loan, McNally, and we've got Callum Doyle, who's on loan from Manchester City. Fantastic. We normally play with a back three. Fantastic back three, really solid. I say we've kept 17 clean sheets. Ben Wilson in goal. He's been fantastic, and the defence look very solid. We don't look like we're going to concede a goal. And we certainly haven't lately. So long may that continue. But you just never know, do you? There's been games where early in the season where we've shipped loads of goals. So you just don't know in the Championship because it's so unpredictable. As you know, anybody can beat anybody on the day.
I didn't expect Hull to beat West Brom because West Brom looked quite good the first 20 minutes on Sky.
Very funny, strange team, West Brom, aren't they?
Mm.
I mean, we beat them at home and then we lost 1-0 away. But they played well on that night, West Brom. But yeah, I've seen them on telly since and they look very average. So they're a very strange team. They've got some great players, but they don't seem to turn it on every week, do they? They're very inconsistent.
So, I mean, Gyökeres is a Swedish player. It's always exciting to see a Swede play well in England. Whenever there's a World Cup or a Euros and they've qualified, Sweden are usually my second team. I've been. It's very nice. And so to see a young, he's 25, isn't he? So sort of young,
he's only a young lad.
A good goal-scoring striker, maybe to help replace Zlatan, who's retired from at least from international football. Just how high is the bar for Gyökeres? Because I've seen him linked away an awful lot.
I think he only can get better. I think there was talk of him moving in January, but obviously the club put off any bids in January. He's got another year left on his contract. There's a contract on the table, I believe, for him to sign. Hopefully, he will sign that, and if he does sign it, his value will obviously go up. Hopefully, we're all fingers crossed we want to keep him, but we all know money talks at the end of the day, and if we get offered him, an unbelievable fee for him, which I think we probably will do in the summer, there'll be a lot of clubs after him from the Premier League, then he may well move on, but the fee would have to be right for us so that we can invest back into the team and replace him. The biggest thing is replacing him, isn't it? How do you replace a player like that? And is there anybody out there at a reasonable price that you can get to replace him?
I suppose it's trying to build that team up again. You can probably sign a few players with the money to get maybe 20 million. That's sort of what we did with Lewis Potter. We spent a lot of money.
Plus there's a clause. I think we got a clause because we bought him from Brighton, and there's a clause in there, obviously a sell-on fee, so we'd have to pay Brighton obviously some money if we do sell him on. So we're not going to get all the money, but I mean we're all just fingers crossed that he can carry on playing the way he is, and hopefully sign a new contract. And you never know if we're on the verge of the playoffs. We're sitting in 8th place. We're not that far behind.
There's a chance, isn't there?
Yeah, there's an
with the home form.
there. And the running we've got reasonable running, but as you know, I don't take anything for granted because there's no easy games in this league. We just got to think fingers crossed, and as long as we don't pick up any more injuries, which we've had our fair share, and hopefully we won't. Then I'm quietly confident we can maybe sneak into the 6th place. Maybe you never know.
Yeah, or at least have that push. So seems a bit of a similar time in the season, position-wise, when Hull played Coventry at the Ricoh Arena or the CBS Arena last season. That ended in a 2-0 win for Hull, and we were just sort of muddling along, and Coventry had a push, and then I think dropped off a bit. Do you see it going similar to that? I mean, I think it will probably be a very tight game. Both teams are very good defensively. So how do you see the game going?
I think it'll be a tight game. I don't think there'll be a lot of goals. I think I'm going to back my team. Obviously, I think we're in good form at home. So I'm going to back us to win it, but I think it'll be the odd goal. I don't think there'll be many goals. I think it'll be very tight, and I'll be happy with a 1-0. I'll be happy with a 1-0 win. To be fair, I haven't seen much of Hall lately, and I know you're on quite a reasonable run since the guy from Derby's come in. Yeah. He's done all right for you, hasn't he?
Yeah, I mean, he's we had the worst defensive record in the league, and now we've had 7 clean sheets in almost 20 games, so we're doing much better on that. And goal scoring did sort of dry up in the last few games, but we got 2 against West Brom. Hopefully the floodgates will open now. But we're a very solid team, and with a full season next year, he could do very well. Although of course it's never quite as easy as just continuing to be good. But yeah, he's had a big impact certainly. So I mean, I guess there's not a huge amount else to say. I mean, I doubt it's going to be very similar to the game at the MKM earlier, where it was 3-2. I doubt it's going to be something similar to that.
Yeah, I mean, that guy. I was at that game. And that guy scored a hat trick. What was his name? Scored a hat trick.
Oscar Estepinian. Yeah. We just call him Oscar. It's much easier to say. I
was there, and I know a lot of the feeling amongst the Coventry fans. He got his hat trick, but fair play to him. But he didn't have to do a lot to get his hat trick. No. It was easy goals. We give
probably the sort of close, or the fewest yards away. A hat trick ever scored, basically.
I couldn't believe it. I could not believe it. Yeah. And that just shows you the turnaround in defence. I mean, the goals we shipped against you were very poor on our point of view, defensively. But now we've turned it around completely, and we don't concede sort of goals like that. We don't tend to. But I say you don't know. Things can change. But yeah, we have certainly tightened up at the back. So it certainly won't be as easy if he's playing. It certainly won't be as easy for him this Saturday.
Well, I mean, what he does is, when he scored the hat trick, he'd scored 7 in 4 games. But that's what he does. He scores in bunches. So he got 4 in 4 a few weeks ago, and I think he's not scored for 7 or 8 games. So Big Ben Tete finally got his first goal. He was playing up front, 6'4" Ghanaian striker. A really good sort of physical, presence in the Championship. That's what you need. He scored against West Brom, although he got injured. So. I mean, I think if he's not injured, it'll probably be Tete rather than Oscar. Yeah, I mean, Alex is pointing out Ben Wilson, the Coventry goalkeeper, most clean sheets in the league, I think. I mean, you said at the start, Coventry have more clean sheets than anyone, I think. So
yes, which is Wilson... surprising because we conceded a lot of goals at the start of the season. But then lately we've had a lot of clean sheets, 1-0 wins, 2-0 wins, and there was a time up until the Sunderland game the other week, every time we won a game, we hadn't conceded. Every game we'd won was a clean sheet. And then we conceded a last-minute goal against Sunderland when we won 2-1. He's been absolutely tremendous, Ben Wilson in goal. So, fair play to him. He took his chance. He wasn't first choice when he went at the start of the season because we had Simon Moore, who came in and. Made a couple of mistakes, and Robbins decided to change the goalkeeper. And Ben Wilson's come in and took his chance, and he's been tremendous ever since.
Yeah, I mean, it's a similar situation to us. We've had 3 goalkeepers this season. At the moment, it's Carl Darlow because Ingram, who's been really great this season, got injured. But we weren't expecting Ingram to be the first choice, and then he turned out to be. And I mean, it was very difficult to begin with, but he's had a great run of form. I think a lot of City fans want Darlow in, and he's got a clean sheet against West Brom, but I think Ingram's when he's back fit, perhaps he deserves to get back into the team, but I'm not really sure. But I think it won't be 3-2. It could be a 0-0. So I guess last thing to do. I guess
I was going to ask you. I was going to ask you about your fans. How many fans you're expecting? Because have you got like a special away? You got free transport or something?
Yeah, I mean. I don't know how many
it will be, apparently.
But it'll be, I suppose, the higher end of what you normally get at Coventry. Because, Ajahn Idolajela, the owner, has been brilliant with the free coaches.
Yeah. Well, I've heard around 2,500-3,000, so that's quite good.
Yeah. I mean, the away support last few years hasn't been too great, but then with the new owner, it's definitely improved a lot. So it'll be a fair few City fans going.
That'll be good. Then it'll be very vocal then.
Yeah, it should be a
That's
good
good.
atmosphere with Coventry's home form and our away form's not bad at all as well.
Yeah, I mean, it's snowing here tonight. I don't know what the weather's like up your end, but it's snowing at the moment.
It's snowing right now.
Yeah, it's snowing here. So, but hopefully the game will be. I mean, we've got under the soil heating and everything. It shouldn't be a problem, but hopefully it won't be lasting too long. I mean, we've got a few more days. So we didn't expect snow in March, do we? So it's very surprising. But there shouldn't be no danger. The game will go ahead.
Yeah, never get snow at Christmas, but we always get it a few months after when everyone's moved on with that. So I guess the last thing to I'll predict a 0-0. I've predicted a 0-0 for that last 4 games. What's your?
I'm going to go. I'm going to go for. I'm going to go for another clean sheet. I'm going to go for a 1-0 win. How about that? Okay.
Well, I think definitely whoever gets the first goal, as long as it's like not really early. We'll probably win the game if there's a goal. So hopefully City get it, or Hull City. Not hugely optimistic, but I mean it'll be a tough game for both teams just to break the strong defences down, but a bit of quality to open that up. So thanks very much for coming on. You've been a great guest. So where can Hull and Coventry fans listening find your stuff? I mean, the @ is on there. So what's Sky Blue Fans TV up to?
Sky Blue Fans TV. We'll be doing we do ours on every Sunday and every Thursday. So I'll be doing ours tomorrow night. Sky Blue Fans TV. You can get it on Instagram, on Facebook, on Spotify, on YouTube. So all the major socials. Just type in Sky Blue Fans TV. It'll come up, and we'll be doing our show tomorrow. And we'll be previewing the game on Saturday with our lot tomorrow. So it should be interesting.
Yeah, cool. Well, thanks again for coming on. You've been a really good guest. Thanks everyone for listening and commenting, and we'll be back with the main episode tomorrow night. So thanks again,